Alright guys, welcome to Bondi Harvest Review. We have the Ecozoom stove here. It's meant to be super efficient, even more so than a little propane stove. It's supposedly able to boil 4 pots of water using only 4 little bits of timber. So that's perfect for camping. You can get, tindering from around the campsite and, go get cooking. I'm really interested to see if it can sear the perfect steak, if it has enough heat and if it has enough power to, heat up the pan to get that beautiful golden crust, to see if it actually works. I mean, it looks really wicked, but I mean, if it doesn't work, then it won't get the thumbs up from Bondi Harvest, will it? When you reveal your eco stove, believe me, this one is brand new. I'm renovating my kitchen at the moment, so there's a whole bunch of dust and concrete all over it. But what it comes with is a few bits of timber to start your first little cook up. It's got a really cool little rack to hold the timber as it burns, just so it's nice and neat. It's the stove itself. You get a little power ring, basically, wraps around the base of your pot and is meant to make it super efficient. It's got 2 little openings, 2 little doors, one for the air to come in and the other one to close it off, so you can really control the temperature. Part of this stove is it claims to be really eco-friendly because it burns all the fuel, so there's very little smoke. All right, so I thought a really good test for this little stove is how to cook the perfect steak. And the perfect steak sort of needs that really beautiful charred golden crust on the outside that you can only get with a lot of heat, which the stove sort of claims to do. So first step for the perfect steak is you want your steak at room temperature so that it sears and cooks evenly. The next step is we're going to hit it with a little bit of olive oil, lots of salt and pepper, and then we're going to throw a pan on top and get it searing hot. We want smoke. We want, to sear it really quickly and get that beautiful color and that caramelization on the outside. It's getting warm. I wouldn't say it's hot quite yet.
Not hot enough.
If the pan's not hot enough, what's going to happen is the steak is not going to come out with a beautiful color. It's going to stew, it's going to cook in its own juices, and to be honest, it's going to be quite disgusting.
How long's it been?
All right, so we've been here for about 20 minutes, just heating this pan up. It's really struggling, but I have a feeling it's not because of the stove, but because of the wind itself. So we're, high up and the ocean breeze is kind of shooting straight past and taking that heat away. So I'm just creating a little barrier, and you can see, all these heat waves are starting to come through and the pan's starting to get really, really hot. We got a bit of olive oil. It's not too bad.
Good sound.
It's not too bad at all. It's got a sizzle. The real test is, can the stove hold the heat? Because once that steak goes in, that actually pulls the heat out of the pan. And it seems to be holding up pretty well. So we've sort of found that this wind is sort of really affecting the heat. But I mean, to be honest, it was a propane stove, it'd be a lot harder. Like, it wouldn't have this much heat in it. So it's doing really well. But what we've done is we've sort of spun the stove around so that the air is literally being forced into the little air tunnel or air gap, and it's up into the fire, and it's starting to, really get moving, really get hot. And you can see the flames are coming all the way through the center, which is sort of perfect. All right, steak's looking pretty good. So the blood started to rise to the top, started to coagulate around the outside, then it's time to flip it. See if it's got that crust. Is pretty solid. I mean, again, the wind's making it really hard to get the heat in there. And if I was at home, I'd definitely have, a thicker crust on the outside. But I mean, for a camp stove and to be cooking with a backdrop like this, I don't know, something's got to give, right? So we're just going to let our steak rest, let it sort of relax, let all those juices sort of, sink back into the meat itself. So look, I've let this rest for about 10 minutes. But the issue with the steak is we've had to cook it so much on one side to get that crust that the other side sort of isn't coloured or crusted, because if we did that, then we'd overcook the steak. So like I said, I mean, let's slice it and see how it turned out. It's definitely cooked it really nicely, but I'm a snob and we were going for the perfect steak. And for me, the perfect steak is that really thick, beautiful crust on both sides, and we couldn't do that. I mean, it's beautiful, blushing pink, but you can see that the fat hasn't rendered properly, and you can see it's cooked more on one side than the next. Look, the fact that the Eco stove doesn't use gas bottles and leave trash behind, and you're using, a small amount of fuel to do a lot of cooking, we love it. So it's a thumbs up for Bondi Harvest. And does it cook the perfect steak? Not in these conditions, but you know what? It's still pretty tasty to me. It's a good steak.